Hi, this is Jay Billis of ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
The ML Sports Platter, of course, back with you. All over the major platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, Deezer, you name it, iHeartMedia, and Amazon Music. Go download, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. We are brought to you by Camilla's Golf Club. I played there today. The place looks spectacular. So if you're in and around Central New York or trying to go, throughout the great state of New York, you're a traveling golfer, etc., I'm telling you, it's worth the drive. The views, the greens, the unbelievable fairways, great food. Had a chicken Caesar wrap after my round. Place is great. Camilla's Golf Club, the official golf course of the ML Sports Platter. And, of course, you can visit them online at CamillasHillsGolfClub.com. That's CamillasHillsGolfClub.com. You can still grab 2021 memberships as well. And wanted to quickly also say thank you to Bryant and Stratton College and our good friends over at the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group and Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. Let's talk some Green Bay Packers. A little bit of drama going on in Packerland. One of the best in the business, a long time Wisconsin sports and Packers insider and TV personality. Does an unbelievable job for the group out there in Milwaukee, the NBC affiliate. It is our good friend from TMJ4, Lance Allan. Lance, welcome back, buddy. A lot going on, huh?
It is all good, Mike. How are you doing today?
Things are fine. I'm going to just throw out the open-ended questions, two-parter to start things. I want to just give you the floor on what you've seen, what you've heard, the incredible drama going on in Green Bay, Wisconsin. What's next for the Packers, and what's next for Aaron Rodgers?
Boy, every time I'm on a show, Mike, I always think, well, we could talk Bucks, or we could talk Brewers, or we could talk a lot of different...
Yeah, no. Right to the Packers. Yeah, right to the Packers.
We go right to the Packers in this state, and of course with Aaron Rodgers. And, I have not a lot to base this on, but this is my... I was on a radio show earlier today. I've been on multiple shows, and my standard pat line is when people say, what do you think will happen? If I'm wrong, you can come back and play this and say, hey, you were way off or whatever. But my guess is that Aaron Rodgers will probably skip the off-season activities, meaning there is a mandatory minicamp next week, June 8th through the 10th, that he will skip a lot of the off-season stuff. And just a guess, a wild guess, is that just before training camp, he makes a comeback or whatever happens, and he plays one more year in Green Bay, and then all bets are off. Because if you look at the money and the numbers and the whatever, it's just a guess and a gut hunch. I think that's what happens. But yeah, I will freely admit there have been days where I felt like, there's no way, he's not playing in Green Bay, or there's no way that they're going to trade him. And then you have those moments of creeping doubt because you just don't know.
Most of this goes back to, obviously, Green Bay taking Jordan Love in the NFL draft. And look, the Packers, I think, made a pretty smart move by taking Jordan Love. They wanted to grab depth at the position. They know eventually Aaron Rodgers will not be the quarterback of the Packers, whenever that is. And, oh, by the way, the production of Aaron Rodgers had showed not a significant decline, but, a steady decline. How were the Packers supposed to handle this the right way with how Aaron Rodgers is? In other words, Aaron Rodgers needs, he wants to be told. He wants to be in the know. He's obviously a drama queen. Tom Brady is being told that they're taking a quarterback. They give him the heads up, but if they didn't give him the heads up, I don't think Brady would feel threatened by it and go nuts about it, because that's not his personality. So what should the Packers have done in terms of having an eye on the future, grabbing Jordan Love? How should they have approached it with Aaron Rodgers based on how his personality is?
Mike, sports, and especially professional sports with the money that's made, is such a fantasy land that it's always dangerous, in my opinion, to equate it to real life. But the one real life thing that seems to either polarize people or you're on one side or the other, is when I pose the question, okay, if somebody came into your office today and said, and maybe they didn't give you the heads up, but that they are bringing in a 23-year-old that there is no way they can pass on their talent, and they love their future, and they just want to see where it goes, and it's possible that this person replaces you, but they just feel like they would be a great addition to the team.
Yeah.
Does your place of employment owe it to you? I've been at WTMJ for 25 years. Do they owe it to me to give me the heads up if they hire someone half my age and say, we just could not pass on this person and we'll talk about it more in the future and we'll just see where it goes? Or do they have the right, because they're the ones that sign the checks and run the business, to run the business however they see fit to run the business? And, a little bit of me says, okay, Brian Gutekunst, maybe he could have had someone dial up Aaron Rodgers, text Aaron Rodgers, let him know, hey, this is what's happening. It's happening really quick. We're going to talk more tomorrow. Okay, maybe you could at least give someone the courtesy, the heads up, or whatever. But I think you're hitting on something really key, Mike, and that's, okay, yeah, do you side more with the organization and the business? Do you side more with the player or people's rights? And it's that age-old question. And the other thing is for years, you're right, that the Packers really didn't have a lot of unbelievable backup quarterbacks, and when something happened to Aaron Rodgers, it greatly affected the team. And there's also the argument of, if you are as great or as good as what you think you are and other people think you are, you probably don't care who comes in, because there's a part of me and a part of some people, not to completely make it about me, but sometimes you have that inner drive in you that's, hey, they can bring in whoever they want, or they can bring in somebody, and I'm going to show them that I'm still the best option possible. So you're right. It really is one of those subjects that really gets people talking, and I think that's why people love talking about it.
Here's the thing. I'm not inside the walls. I follow the NFL. I do more on the Buffalo Bills side of things, but I obviously, I'm not a reporter in a sense for all the teams or anything like that on a big scale, but I follow the NFL as closely as I can, talk to as many people, insiders, whoever, like yourself. And my overview is this. I think Aaron Rodgers is being a crybaby. I really do. This guy's made a ton of money from the Green Bay Packers. They go to the playoffs every single year. You can bitch and moan all you want about Matt LaFleur kicking the field goal and all the rest, but where was Aaron Rodgers on second down? Where was Aaron Rodgers on third down? The running lanes were there. He didn't take it. He didn't make plays himself. They were still one game away from the Super Bowl. They're always in the mix. They're always a top 6 team every year in the NFL, assuming he's the quarterback in 2021, and we'll get to that in a minute. The Packers are right there. I mean, they're right there every single year. They were one win away from the big game. I think he's being a crybaby, and I think he's also gotten a lot of help over the years. Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, Corey Linsley, Greg Jennings. They just signed the running back. They got A.J. Dillon in the draft. They've built offensive pieces. The defense has been good enough. The coaching hasn't, but the defense has been good enough. I think he's been a crybaby. Am I wrong?
Well, once again, I try to be as honest as I can be, and you probably deal with it with the Buffalo Bills, is there are some people who are closer to homer status, and there are other people who look at it a little more realistically, but fandom is fandom, and that's why most people, they wear Aaron Rodgers jerseys, and they're not wearing Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, or Mark Murphy jerseys, and they cheer for the player more than they cheer for the organization or the management. Aaron Rodgers does have a chip on his shoulder and does hold grudges. We've seen that. You are correct. The older you get, the less you want to get hit. Aaron Rodgers was not sacked a lot, not pressured a lot, not hit a lot, and in that NFC Championship game was pressured, hit, and sacked more than any other game that season. And on third down, that probably affected thought process on, do I run for it? Do I not? Because as you get older, you don't want to get hit as much. And for those that say that, okay, they haven't drafted a receiver in the first round, or they haven't given him weapons, or this or that or whatever. There are times where, yes, the defense has not come through, or certain things have gone horribly awry, as you mentioned, whether it's coaching decisions or certain things. But you also look at it, and to my friends who, look at it only from a certain perspective, my role, your role, Mike, is to look at it from every angle possible.
Absolutely. Yep.
And not be waving pom-poms and not, whatever. The players don't sign my paychecks. The organization doesn't sign my paychecks.
Correct.
So I'm not taking sides here. But
Yep.
your argument, and I have made this argument, is, okay, a friend of mine is very adamant about Brian Gutekunst claiming that he's just going to ruin the organization. And I go, okay, is it ruining the organization when you've drafted Jair Alexander, Jenkins, you re-signed Aaron Jones, you did re-sign David Bakhtiari, you're trying to bring back Devontae Adams, who knows where that goes, you re-signed Kenny Clark, you've got a number of pieces to the puzzle that you have either drafted or kept. You have serious cap ramifications going forward, and that's why I don't think a trade, in my opinion, is necessarily something that the Packers could stomach, because you have serious cap ramifications in the future and guys needing to take, either pay cuts or restructures. You signed $182 million worth of free agents in the Smith and Smith combination, Adrian Amos and Billy Turner a couple of years ago, when the previous guy, Ted Thompson, was labeled as the I don't sign free agents guy. Aaron Rodgers was, for whatever, maybe it was time for Mike McCarthy to part ways with the Packers, but they fired the head coach that it was, it was time to part ways, and there was friction there. The head coach that runs the system that you kind of want was hired. You were when you signed your name to a contract in 2018, you were the highest paid player ever in NFL history, and at that time, and from all intents and purposes, contract extensions have been offered to up that and push the money in the future. And so I do tend to push back when people say, boy, they've really short-sighted or short-circuited Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Whatever.
It makes no sense.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. And what I was going to add into that, too, is that while they've gotten Jair Alexander and all these offensive weapons, and, not many quarterbacks, I'm telling you, Lance, you know as well as I do, there are a lot of elite quarterbacks in the history of the NFL who, for a duration of time, have not had anywhere near the offensive line that Aaron Rodgers has had. Now, you can give me the weapons all day long, and I would agree. I mean, I actually did a podcast on this a few months back that you could argue that Aaron Rodgers' supporting cast is better than Tom Brady's. It just happened that the Brady Bucks beat the Packers and won the Super Bowl. It's also a team sport. You could argue that Aaron Rodgers' supporting cast, wide receiver-wise, is better than Patrick Mahomes. It's better than the Buffalo Bills. You could argue that. And I just look at it and I'm like, you know what? You can give me the weapons. You can give me the offense as a whole, but it's always up front. How are you protected? How much time do you have? Yeah, if you have weapons, you're going to hit them, if you have a great offensive line. If you don't, you're going to get sacked. Lance, this offensive line has been made up properly. And to your point, Packers front offices, they've worked within the cap perfectly to build around Aaron Rodgers inside of that. I don't know where his complaints are. The offensive line's been unbelievable, and I think the salary cap has been managed as well, right? Well,
and the complaints lie with not Jordan Love the person, it's the drafting of Jordan Love. And I'm a wordsmith, Mike, so I really look at the words, and words mean something to me, and,
sure.
And the whole Kenny Mayne interview to me when he said, I have no problem with Jordan Love. I do believe that. I don't think he has a problem with Jordan Love the person. I think he has a problem with the drafting of Jordan Love. And there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
And trading up to get him. And then you're right in the sense that I think it's a testament to the Buccaneers defense, and it's also a testament that David Bakhtiari did not play, and they were shifting tackles, and that Aaron Rodgers was pressured, hit, sacked more than any other game last year. But you're right. For the most part last year, the line did unbelievably well until the worst possible time against arguably the best defense in the NFL last year. And it is, it is a little bit puzzling to me that you can make the argument about the first-round receivers and things like that. I get that. But Devontae Adams is an all-pro caliber receiver.
He's the best wideout in the game.
A lot of people feel that way, Mike. There are some people who, he doesn't probably get the recognition he deserves.
He's the best, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, you can pump it up a little bit, but so Matt LaFleur comes from the McVay-Shanahan system, and name me, for the 49ers, or name me unbelievable receivers, with the exception of maybe one name or something like that, of receivers that have come from that system or that are like all elite, all pro, all world. And yes, you have that in Devontae Adams, but this whole argument of you have to have an incredible number two receiver, they've got, I wouldn't say unbelievable, but the decent, good options. And the McVay-Shanahan system is going to the tight end, is going to the running backs, is getting the running backs involved in the passing game as well as the running game, maybe more than the McCarthy system. And that's the system, and that's the coach, and that's the person that you brought in. So I don't totally buy into that either. And I'm, as I've said, I'm not going to condone everything. I'm going to listen to everything. I think there are some valid issues on the table, but I'm also not just going to rush to judgment and say, rubber stamp it, okay, that's the way it is, because I am paid to think about it from every direction, and I think there are many valid points on many different issues.
A couple more quick ones for Lance Allan, the terrific Packers and Milwaukee sports insider for TMJ4, the main sports anchor, NBC Milwaukee. Get him on Twitter, at Lance Allan, and Allan, of course, with an A. That's at Lance, Allan. Give him a follow on Twitter. How much of the drama, in your opinion, rests solely on Matt LaFleur versus Aaron Rodgers as opposed to front office versus Aaron Rodgers? I get the sense that LaFleur and Rodgers maybe, have actually been okay with each other. Like, LaFleur was brought in. That was another deal with Rodgers, right? Like, how come you didn't, consult me to who's going to be the head coach? But then they, instantly had chemistry and they were winning, and Rodgers has freedom in the offense, right? This is more about front office than it is Rodgers versus LaFleur, is it not?
It seems that way, Mike. I have kind of just thought about the whole, a couple of times when you've seen Aaron Rodgers get really displeased with the calls that are coming in from the sideline, it has made me wonder about a little bit. I wouldn't say, I will definitely say that it's more, obviously, the ire is more toward Brian Gutekunst, the general manager, and to another extent, maybe Mark Murphy and the front office, rather than the coaching staff. But it has made me think at least a little bit about, okay, we have seen occasionally during games some camera cut shots of Aaron Rodgers F-bombing the sideline or being displeased with a call, and we don't know anything for a fact, but it does seem like maybe there's a little something there. I wouldn't say it's at the level of anything else. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. And I thought when you first started this off, Mike, you put it very well, that another thing that I've stressed to people is when you think that the team, that they've either sabotaged Aaron Rodgers or this or that or whatever, it's simply, that part of it is simply not true, because they're still a top 4 team in the NFL. Last I checked, they played in the NFC Championship game and could have won that game.
Easily.
They didn't, but they could have won that game. So they are a top 4 team in the NFL, and all of this friction, drama, whatever chemistry, it may affect the team greatly, of a team that arguably is pretty much good to go and ready to make another run.
Okay, so here it is. I mean, Sunday, September 12th. I mean, as we record this, it's early June. So we got, June, July, August, 12-ish weeks. September, a couple more, 14 weeks, 13, 14 and a half weeks, whatever the week total is here. At New Orleans, 4:25 on Fox. That's a Joe Buck, Troy Aikman game. That is the opener of the NFL season. That is no Drew Brees, but it's Packers Saints. Is Aaron Rodgers in a Packer uniform for that game?
I'm going to say yes by what I said
Okay.
earlier. I was like, 75-25, just because the salary cap, you can shove 17 million one direction and 14 million another direction as of today, which is a little more palatable than 31 million and 38 million in dead money. So I get the fact that now it's at least a little more of a possibility.
Sure.
But I still think that's a lot of money for a team that's pretty tight up against the cap and going to have cap problems in the future. So maybe I'm Pollyanna-ish, maybe I'm too optimistic, whatever. I'm still in the 65-35 camp that he suits up week 1 for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, final one for you. Let me sneak in a Brewers question. See, I told you I could do it. Some people can do it. Some people can. I'm not going to talk to you about the Bucks because I can't stand the NBA. I can't stand everything that's gone on there, the whole, all the nonsense, the product, the woke crap, the BL. I can't even deal with it right now. But I want to talk Brewers with you because in baseball's been driving me nuts too. But I think the Brewers are a pretty fun team. I mean, you got a really good bullpen. Josh Hader, I love watching him pitch no matter what. I don't care what the analytics say. Here's the thing. The Cardinals just got an awful blow with Flaherty being out for, it looks like, a really long time, according to their manager, Schilt. So here we are with the Brewers, right? Like, you've got an outstanding bullpen. You have Brandon Woodruff, who is a Cy Young candidate. And, oh, by the way, so is his teammate in Corbin Burns. If they get a little bit out of a couple of different guys, they went out and got a bunch of defensive help, Jackie Bradley Jr. and company. Does it really come down just to Christian Yelich, 75% of him, and then they win the division? Is that where we are here? Give me the State of the Union on the Brewers.
Yeah, their hitting has been the issue. But in years past, and you follow baseball as much as anybody, Mike, that hitting was usually never a problem for the Brewers.
Never.
Never.
Yep.
It was more pitching and defense.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, the defense has probably been not quite as good as what I thought it would be when you have 4 Gold Glovers on your team. And it was a clear shift in the offseason, in my opinion, that you've got the homegrown talent, in addition, meaning Woodruff and Burns, in addition to Freddie Peralta's pitched really well. Adrian Hauser, they still have high hopes for it. He's been good in spots. So the pitching has been great. I think the defense could be a little bit better, but they do have the elements of a really good defense. And it was clear to me the shift was pitching and defense. The fall off of the hitting has, quite frankly, shocked me. And you would think it would get better at some point. I know the majors, there are a lot of teams that are in the same boat, but it seems like the Brewers are more in the bottom half of that bad hitting boat. They have to improve that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But in their division, you are right. I think that Flaherty injury is huge for the Cardinals.
Huge.
I respect that guy immensely. And yes, you're right. I think now if they can get anything out of Yelich, and if Hura can ever get back to something, and just with what they've got and what they've been able to do so far, and with Hader doing what he's done and whatever, I think they are definitely in the division race, if not win it. And then, if they can compete with the big guns, the Dodgers and the Padres and the whatever the world remains to be seen. But I think they will definitely be in.
By the way, it says that you work in the toy department on your Twitter profile. What does that mean?
I always try to remind myself that even on days when it's crazy, when you're running all over God's green earth and you're working, long days and long hours, I still have a job that most people would want to do on an everyday basis and get to deal with some fun people and fun stuff like Giannis or Jimmy Johnson today of NASCAR fame or whatever. So, I get to do some pretty cool stuff.
And in your Twitter cover photo, it's the Mike McCarthy show going back years. Who is that with you with the gigantic brown beard and you are just totally clean shaven? It's like opposites here,
Yeah. Our policy at the station is, clean shaven. We're like the Yankees. So that is Aaron Ripkowski.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, he looks more like Mountain Man or Duck Dynasty or whatever.
He looks miserable.
No, he's actually a really good guy. He's just more reserved.
Okay.
He was, like, we talked beforehand or whatever, and I think he was less comfortable in front of the camera. He does a lot of video game podcast playing, Twitch type stuff now. But yeah, I think he was one of those guys that just wasn't as used to the media,
All right, well, this was unbelievable. Lance Allan on Twitter, at Lance Allan, the Allan, of course, with an A, at Lance Allan, Allan, at Lance, Allan, the amazing Wisconsin sports and Packers insider for TMJ4, NBC Milwaukee. Thank you so much, Lance. Great catching up with you, buddy. Hope you're hitting them straight down the fairway, by the way.
I'm trying. I'm not practicing and playing enough, which is my life story.
Of course. Well, you're also a father of 3, so you're screwed, right?
Yeah, exactly. If my golf game was pristine, I'd never be home. So, I'll just settle for the occasional great shot.
Well, listen, if you shoot bogey golf, you're still close, and you can still make some decent shots here and there, and you're still better than 60 percentile of America. So you take that and run with it, right? Hey, if you were single and playing all the time, shooting an 80, you'd be okay with it. But you're always going to have a bad round no matter what. I don't care if you're 2 handicap. I don't care if you're a 25. You're always going to have a bad round. So you know what? If we take one end and take the other end and combine them, it's golf. Golf is hard. It's not easy.
That's where I'm at. I'm with you, brother.
All right, Lance, thank you so much. Continued success.
Thank you, Mike.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual, New York State, and our great friends at Ken's Auto Detailing. Make sure you go into Ken's. I'm telling you, when you drive off the lot, feels like you have a brand new car. They've got the chrome detailing, the inside-outside wax and wash, you name it. Ken's Auto Detailing, the official detail shop of the ML Sports Platter. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports. And as I always tell you, enjoy the games.